settle down. We're about to begin. So, my name is Brenda Russell. I'm the president of the UIC chapter of SUAA, and I welcome you to the spring meeting. Aha! I know many of you had terrible travel time in this morning with the snow and the ice, and we're really pleased that you all made it and that you're here safely. So, for our platform session this morning, I'm going to begin by introducing Linda Brookhart, who's the Executive Director of SUAA in the office in Springfield, and she'll in turn introduce our guest, Dick Lockhart, because she knows him very well. And Linda is going to make a few comments after Dick, and then we'll have questions and answers. So Linda.
I honestly wouldn't know where to start with Dick Lockhart, except at the beginning. I've known Dick for 26 years at least. He was our lead lobbyist for 10 years. I've been at SUAA for a little over 11 years. And I brought Dick on board when I was hired, mainly because he was my mentor. The man never led me astray. Not only was he my mentor, he was a lot of other men and women's mentors too. And so you can go back 58 years in Springfield. The stories he can tell, the stories I can tell. And one of the things that I think helped me with the legislature was going with Dick when he and his old cronies would get together and they would talk. It would almost be like a ping pong match to a certain extent. You never had to say a word. You just sat there and went back and forth. And then there was a few times when it would be like, no, that's not the way it happened. Yes, each had their version, but guess what? The outcome was always the same. And the reason they had different versions, because they might have been on opposite sides, opposite politics, not working with the same legislators. But at the same time, all was, what do I want to say, finalized in the end, usually to the gentleman's agreement. Now, I can go back even further, because Dick was a prisoner of war. He was captured during the Battle of the Bulge. And through those experiences, I think helped build his character. His parents were told that he did not survive. And so once he was released, he chased them. I need to tell you, Dick is from Indiana. He's a Hoosier. I'm a Hoosier. And Dick, raise your hand. He's a Hoosier, and the two of them grew up just a couple of blocks from each other, went to the same high school, but 10 years apart, so they didn't know each other. Anyway, Dick Chase got hold of his parents, knocked on their door in Ohio, but Dick chose to come back around Chicago and build his life. Not forgetting his parents at all, but you know, he was a grown up now, he'd had a lot of experiences. So he came to Chicago, and over the years, many years, Dick has talked to numerous students, both younger and older, about the perils of war and kind of keeping it alive, about things that the kids don't learn in school anymore. And he's been very adamant about that. So adamant that he has maintained friends in Belgium, and he has visited the Queen, and he's had some experiences that none of us have had or will have. Just because of his, what do I want to say, his want to build his life on relationships, which many of us have learned from him is probably the most important thing that you can do throughout your life, is maintain and build those relationships, no matter how far they go back. Going forward, Dick has had, in his heyday, had as many as 20 clients, and then 15, and he really maintained those, and doing pro bono work for the veterans. I think the man is to be commended. He has 2 children, both growing, and his son has managed to record some of Dick's events on YouTube, and they're kind of fun for us to go back and look at. I was at his 80th birthday party. I was at his 90th birthday party. But the one I remember most was his 50th anniversary at Blackie's. Was it 50? And there's things there that even Dick doesn't remember that we had to tell him about last year. Had to tell him about it. Not that had anything to do with other than just a good party and so many people that were there. And I recorded that because another friend of mine and I took a lot of pictures, which Dick has framed in his condo. And by the way, if you haven't visited his condo, he would welcome you there. It is a museum, it truly is, of everything that has been important in his life. And so, like I said, I'm there along with Joan Parker and so many people that I have met through my life. Dick brought us Ann Muzine. He was good friends with Speaker Madigan during the Constitutional Convention. That's where Ann Muzine comes in. And through those relationships, developed Constitutional Amendment 49 that we helped defeat. And if it hadn't been for those relationships that he had maintained and brought us into the fold, we may not have had such a good outcome. We continue to fight legislation. Dick has always been by our side, along with all the others, not-for-profits that he has represented. I could stand up here and speak for an hour about Dick Lockhart, probably more than that, but that would be longer than what his talk would be. So I think that he has led, you need to know that he has led an esteemed life. He's very well respected in Springfield. Never heard anyone say anything to the contrary, bad about him. He's always welcome. And people are still asking about him. I say still, he's been gone, 4 months? But every time I go to an event or something, how's Dick? How's Dick? So he truly is missed in Springfield, and I know he misses Springfield, but we all have to wish him the best because, by the way, he leaves, I think, Wednesday for Aruba. Don't you wish you were going to Aruba? A couple of things that you may not know about Dick, that he loves cookies. He never saw a cookie he didn't like. And another thing that he likes is his Mustang. And I should say Mustangs because he's had several over the years. And he goes as fast as his age in his Mustang. He still drives to Springfield, not as often. Well, there really hasn't been that much going on. And like I said, he loves to travel. But all of us who have had the have been privileged to know Dick Lockhart. He will forever remain in your heart, as he will always remain in mine. So, Dick, without further ado, I believe it's your turn. And he's going to talk to you about some of the perils of constitutional amendments. So.
thank you for that revealing introduction that now everybody knows who I am and what I've done. I also want to acknowledge my classmate from Southside High School, Fort Wayne, Indiana. We didn't graduate at the same time, but Dick Johnson and I are Hoosiers, as is Linda is a Hoosier. So be grateful to the state of Illinois that we are here helping you out because your state needs it. We'll do the best we can. We need help. Which reminds me, I do want to talk to your legislative chairman, Mr. Pearman, after the meeting, if I could, for a few minutes, get better acquainted and talk about a little bit about maybe the future. I have to spend a little time, maybe a lot of time, talking about Linda Brookhart, because she has brought extraordinary growth, impetus, sense, capability, and leadership to the State University Annuitants Association. I was there from the very beginning, and this woman does it all. Does it all and does it all so well. Highly admired throughout Springfield as an executive director who does everything right. Insofar as my remarks today, I'm going to really focus on something that is kind of unusual, but it's important. And that is a proposed constitutional amendment that would take out a key provisions in the current constitution of the state. I should interrupt a little bit. I have had, my only association with the Constitution took place in 1970. I was retained in 1969 to get the referendum calling for a constitutional convention. That referendum passed in '69. The 1970 Constitution was convened with 118 delegates, one of whom is Michael Madigan, Speaker of the Illinois House. I was there as a consultant to the President of the Constitutional Convention. And I was not a delegate, but that's where I was involved in that. And I was also then involved in the referendum afterwards to get the Constitution adopted. That was an election on the 10th of December, 1970. But anyway, time flies when you're having fun in Illinois. It's been an interesting life and not as dangerous as the one I pursued earlier, but it's been a challenging one. Legislation is very difficult in Illinois. I want everybody to believe that. Nothing can be taken for granted except there's going to be a surprise every once in a while, and you have to be prepared for it. I am not optimistic about anything. I operate on the basis of expect the worst and plan accordingly. Those last two words are the key words. And that's why we have leadership from Linda Brookhart, because she realizes this large organization with a legislature of over 277 people, that legislation is big, important, decisive. And we need people like you as a part of our army to go to bat for us and present the issues that are reflective of your circumstance, and so that the legislators fully know and realize the power that you bring to the discussion, to the adversarial kind of force that operates in Springfield. You're part of the voice that we have, the most important voice, far more than Dick Lockhart can provide. I want to talk a little bit, like I say, about the Constitutional Convention, not the Constitutional Convention, with the constitutional amendment that has been filed in the House of Representatives. It's number 18, House Constitutional Amendment number 14. It was introduced by State Representative Sonowski. He was from the Rockford area. Speaker Madigan is using his power of the Speaker to put that constitutional amendment in the House Rules Committee. That's where it is right now. He can take that out of the Rules Committee on Sunday afternoon if it feels like it, and we're off and running. What is this constitutional issue about? It's the most destructive constitutional amendment affecting retirees that you will ever see. In the Constitution that was passed in 1970, there was a provision added that was not in the old Constitution that said public pensions shall not be diminished or shall not be impaired. That has been very strongly supported by the judiciary, but Constitutional Amendment 18, which Representative Sosnowski introduced, would take that out of the Constitution completely. He has no alternative there. He's not saying, well, that's not good, but we have something better. There's no alternative to this constitutional amendment should it be adopted by the population in November.